It has been hailed as a historic march from a guerrilla movement waging Africa's longest civil war to an independence government midwifing the birth of Africa's newest country. But not all is well in their grand march to independence. Indeed, there are fears among Southerners that even before the South attains complete autonomy, their government is showing traits characteristic of many African despotic regimes.
It seems that we're entering into another era of totalitarian rule. Now, not an Arab one, but this is now a purely ours. One asks himself whether we are actually free or we have jumped from the frying pan into the fire.
Key among the issues critics have raised against the Kiir regime is its handling of the process of developing a transitional constitution to guide the South's move from a semi-autonomous region to an independent republic. The SPLM government reportedly backtracked on a deal with civil society and other political parties to facilitate an inclusive constitution conference to deliberate on the new law, leaving the process to an SPLM team that should develop a document and present it for adoption by a parliament where SPLM holds 166 seats against the opposition's 4.
We have become expert in just refusing, in rejecting. You say this is like that. No, it's not. And it's said in such a manner that is even tells you something that if you don't shut up, we'll deal with you.
We've just become a nation. Now it is 6 years. You cannot expect a 6-year child to be doing accounting correctly. You cannot be expecting a 6-year child to be doing operation in the hospital, become a medical doctor. Of course, there are little things that they can do.
Among the constitution provisions stirring controversy is one giving the president powers to remove and unilaterally replace elected state officials. The document is also silent on the length or number of presidential terms one can serve.
Our constitution hasn't mentioned anything about elections. You see, the transitional constitution which had been readied now and which we had opposed, you see, mentioned nothing about coming election. When do we go for election? It hasn't said anything like that.
The Juba-based government is also on the spot of allegations of a high-handed clampdown on the opposition. Many former comrades in arms who vied in the last elections on a party other than SPLM claim to have been deliberately edged out of contention. Others, like the late Dr. John Garang's widow, claim to have been demoted from government and appointed presidential advisors who ironically have very limited access to the president.
The local TVs are owned by the SPLM, so they don't send them to us. The radio is owned by SPLM, so nobody can be allowed to talk in the radio.
Comrade Salfa removed me from the power of ministry, and I was still holding other positions. I became his advisor. I was not happy with the way I was removed.
Even before they attain independence, the government of South Sudan is reportedly captive to grand corruption that appears to have infiltrated its ministries and departments. The government is currently under international scrutiny over a graft scandal where over $2 billion in donor funds are unaccounted for. The monies were part of $34 billion provided by the international communities in 2009 for the construction of 132 emergency grain stores across the 10 states of South Sudan. While all the stores were paid for and recorded on paper as complete, only 46 were actually built.
The disease called corruption, it is infected. The people of Southern Sudan are not foolish. They are very intelligent and they know what is going on.
We have gone beyond your bad habits to something more.
Corruption is viewed as widening the huge divide between the rich and the poor. Those either in government or are well connected live lavishly in Juba, drive the latest model fuel guzzlers without much regard or pressure from the high cost of living that is characteristic of Juba.
We are rich. We are not only rich in manpower, we are also rich in natural resources.
A sharp contrast to the lives of the majority in South Sudan who live in abject poverty, deprived of even the basics.
No water here and no anything.
The Kiir-led government also faces allegations of perpetuating the domination of one ethnic group over the others. While there are over 100 tribes in South Sudan, 90% of those holding government offices are drawn from the Dinka tribe.
These are urban problems. When you can't get that one, and whoever's on power, you will say that, oh, because I'm not from this tribe. This is a shortest way of people crying so that other people can hear.
A situation that may make retrenchment of civil servants necessary even before the new country takes off. The civil service is already bloated, with many people on the government payroll without a clearly defined job.
People sit under the trees. The offices are empty because they have nothing to do in the office. You can enter an office like this, find somebody, the owner of the office is sitting under the tree. So all this needs to be put right so that now we can allocate money towards services.
This scene here is reflective of a typical African shanty. In just 6 years, under the comprehensive peace agreement, Southern Sudan has taken the feel and the shape of many of its African peers. Analysts, however, warn that if the new nation is to succeed where its peers have failed, then its leadership must take to heart the lessons and avoid the pitfalls where those nations failed. NewtonNdebu, KTN in Juba, Southern Sudan.